3, 2, 1, here we go.
Trump making major progress toward peace and high-stakes talks with Ukrainian President Zelensky and European leaders in the Oval Office yesterday. Look at that picture.
President Trump also confirming a meeting between Russian President Putin and Zelensky is in the works before he hopefully meets them together.
And joining us now on the phone with more details, the President of the United States, the 45th and 47th President, Donald J. Trump. Mr. President, thanks so much for joining Fox and Friends this morning.
Good morning. That's quite a crew. That's quite
Also,
a crew.
during the time when America had their conflicts, did they at ever one point stop conflict when they were in fucking like trying to talk to each other in peace agreements? No, they were still fucking fighting each other during those agreements.
To the Oval Office so fast.
Well, I think really they have respect for our country.
I mean, yeah, sure, you would have had some downtime because right back then they would hold like some kind of meeting, but right nowadays, right, you can do remote and still have conflict,
You'd have
right?
one president or one prime minister, but there's never been, such a group. And these really represent the European nations, these people, and they're very good people, and they want to end the war, that horrible war with Ukraine and Russia. It's a horrible war.
It don't happen anymore. We don't just stop conflict because we're in right talks.
Is on top.
Fighting and the talks go together.
I know yesterday you talked about arranging a meeting to take place in 2 weeks between Putin and Zelensky. Is there an update there, and do you plan to attend?
No, I thought I'd do first let them meet. They haven't been exactly best friends. They haven't gotten along very well. And I called President Putin yesterday, and I do have a good relationship, but it only matters if we get things done. Otherwise, I don't care about the relationship. I do have a good relationship with him, but I want to get things done. I've solved 7 wars. We ended 7 wars. I thought this would be one of the easier ones, and this has turned out to be the toughest one. India, Pakistan, these were big ones, and also all big ones, and some going for 31, 32 years, one for 35 years. The Congo, think of that, the Congo and Rwanda for 35 years. I got that one done. I got them all done, but this one is the one that is the most difficult, and I thought it would be an easy one. So I hope President Putin is going to be good, and if he's not, it's going to be a rough situation. And I hope that President Zelensky will do what he has to do. He has to show some flexibility also. The thing is a mess. This was started by Joe Biden. This was a war that should have never happened. Millions of people are dead. The country's blown to pieces, Ukraine, and it's a shame. My wife wrote.
It was Joe Biden's
beautiful note
He
to
caused
President
it
Putin
all.
about children. The children are devastated. They're taken away from their homes. The whole thing. And this is a war that would have never, ever, ever happened if we had a real president.
So, Mr. President, it's been barely a week since you announced that first meeting in Alaska, and it's just been days since that meeting, and then you had the meeting yesterday. In the course of having these negotiations, what has surprised you the most between Zelensky and Putin in terms of their strength or weakness of their position right now?
Well, I think the fact that maybe they're getting along a little bit better than I thought. Otherwise, I wouldn't have set up the 2 meeting. I would have set up the 3, a trilat. But I think they're doing a little bit better. There's been tremendous bad blood. And again, this was all worked out by an administration that didn't have a clue. And if you remember, they said, well, if you made a minor incursion, that would be okay. That was the end. The whole thing when Biden made that statement. But minor incursion, what does that mean? I think they're doing okay. I wouldn't say they are.
Yeah, that was not a good. Yeah, the shit he said.
Okay.
Ooh, that was bad.
So we're setting up a meeting. I sort of set it up with Putin.
He shouldn't have
and
fucking
Zelensky,
opened his mouth.
And they're the ones that have to call the shots. We're 7,000 miles away. In all fairness, we spent.
He's all like, "Oh yeah, it's okay for Putin to have a small incursion." It's like, oh, dude.
A lot, also $100 billion, but it should be reversed.
You literally just gave him the go-ahead to attack.
But it wouldn't have happened, so that would have been much better because so many people died. This is the biggest bad situation since World War II. There's been nothing even close.
So, Mr. President, I know you've been doing deals your entire life when it comes to real estate deals, but this was something a little different. The thing that is surprising a lot of people is when it comes to the security guarantees. I know President Putin said no NATO. And you said, you know what, we're just going to take that off the table. But you did get President Putin to agree to NATO-like protections. So tell us about that. What does that entail?
Well, the war really started over NATO and Crimea. And they wanted Crimea
see?
back. That was given, not a shot fired by
NATO
President
and
Obama,
Crimea.
perhaps
It's always
the worst
NATO.
real estate deal I've ever seen. There's been a couple of them. I would say the Gaza Strip was a pretty bad one, too, given by Israel so they'd have peace. So they gave away a big percentage of their oceanfront property in order to have peace. How did that work out? Not so good. And Crimea is the apple of Ukraine. I mean, it's so beautiful. And Obama gave it away. Nobody ever mentions that. If I ever did that, the fake news would be, they would be writing about me day and night for years. He gave it away. He demanded that they let it go. And Russia came in and took it, just took it like from a candy from a baby. It was really Obama's, not really, I mean, that was pure and simple Obama's fault. What a terrible thing he did to that country. So they lost their heart. They lost the heart and soul of the Ukraine 14 years ago, whatever it might be. And it was so unnecessary to do that. And that's when it really began, when Obama gave it away. And then you had a lot of other events, but you have, tremendous hostility. The people of Ukraine were mortified when that took place. That really began a lot of hatred when they gave it. And they didn't have to. Not a shot was fired. They just took over the most valuable piece and the biggest piece in a sense and surrounded on four sides by ocean, just a little passage to get you back onto the mainland. The most beautiful piece of property you've ever seen. As a real estate developer, I look at it, I said, why the heck did he do that to them? And so there's great hostility, and maybe rightfully so. But one thing was NATO. They went in. They said, we want you. We want to get Crimea back. This was at the beginning. Now Putin, in all fairness to him, he made a good deal. He got it from Obama. But they said, we want it back, and that was not exactly well received because it was like 12 years before. That's where Russia has its submarine base, and that's been there long before Putin. They've been there for a long time. But long before Putin.
Alaska.
The other thing
Yeah, we bought
wanna be a
Alaska
member of
from
NATO.
Russia.
Well, both of those things are impossible because, again, long before Putin.
Yeah, it seems
it
like
was
we
the
bought a
NATO
lot of
by
land,
Russia
and now
or
all the
Soviet
people want to
Union or
come back
anything
and
you wanna
take it
call
back. Like, what?
Sort of
What
a
the
similar
fuck? You
thing
sold it to us,
as
you
it gets
bastards.
larger.
Fuck off.
Very similar. But it
You
was,
can't
it
re-
was
you
always,
can't
no,
take
you
back
could
what
not.
you did
Russia
in the
said, we
fucking
don't
past.
want,
Fuck you. We bought it
the
fair and
so-called
square.
opponent or
If
the
you want it
enemy,
back,
let's
you gotta
use that
fucking
term.
buy it back. Well,
We don't want 'em
actually,
on our
no.
border.
I
They
don't
were
think we're
right.
gonna
They were
fucking sell
okay.
it, to be honest.
And yet they went in and they asked with the United States. They said, put us into NATO, and everybody knew you just can't do that. They would never have agreed to it. This is before Putin. This is long before Putin. It was just a no-no. It was something that was never going to happen. So they asked for it, and they shouldn't have asked for it because it was, very insulting thing. Now, they could have asked for many other things. But the other thing they wanted to do is getting Crimea back, and,
Oh,
that
no.
was given.
Oh, no.
They was
If they
banning
want
everything
Crimea
and
back,
spending all
no.
that money.
I don't
All
think
because
Putin wants to give up
Hussein
Crimea.
Obama gave it away, and one of the
Yeah,
dumbest real estate
during that
deals
time
I've
when
ever
he
seen.
already, they already gave
So,
it
Mr.
up, dude.
President, but you got the Article
I don't
5
think
protections.
they want
So they're
Crimea
not gonna
back,
be
and
part
they
of
want
NATO, but you
right.
still
They
got
want
the
That's right.
Putin to
We're not-
stop
so they're not going to
encroaching.
be a part of NATO, but we've got the European nations, and they'll front load it, and they'll have some of them, France and Germany, a couple of them, UK. They want to have boots on the ground. Not in. I don't think it's going to be a problem, to be honest with you. I think Putin is tired of it. I think they're all tired of it. But you never know. We're going to find out about President Putin in the next couple of weeks. That I can tell you, and we're going to see where it all goes. It's possible that he doesn't want to make a deal. I always said, you interviewed me, Lawrence, and I think Charlie also. Lawrence, I hate to tell you, Charlie was about the first person in the world to endorse me. He endorsed me about a year before I ran. And that's why he called me this morning, sir, would you do an interview? And unlike Biden, I don't need permission from my staff, okay?
I should have fucking
Only to
called
be
him.
told that I'm not doing it. But Charlie endorsed me about a year before, I think, and he puts it up on his site. It's still not checked. It's still on his site. I endorsed President Trump before he even ran. So I always like a guy like that. I must tell you. You know. Now
Well,
Lawrence is going to be a superstar, but he was a little later to the game. In all fairness, right, Lawrence?
Well, it's a lot more crowded these days than it was back then.
It's pretty
but, Mr.
crowded.
President, what kind of assurances do you feel like you have that going forward and past this Trump administration, it won't be American boots on the ground defending that border?
Well, you have my assurance. I'm president, and I'm just trying to stop people from being killed, Charlie. Look, they're losing from 5,000 to 7,000 people a week in that ridiculous war that should have never happened. If we had a normal president, not even a great president, if we had a normal president, it wouldn't have happened. But we had a guy that didn't have a clue. And they're losing, think of it, 5,000 to 7,000 a week. So even these guys, they'll say, okay, let's meet next week. I said, you can't meet next week. Next week, you're going to have 7,000 more dead people. You can't do that. You got to get this thing done. One of the things at the table was one of the gentlemen, who's a great guy, but he said, I hope I didn't insult him. He said, well, let's meet in another month or two, and let's see if we can start, making some. I said, a month or two? You're going to have another 40,000 people dead in a month or two. You have to do it tonight. And I did, actually. I called President Putin, and we're trying to work out a meeting with President Zelensky. We'll see what happens there. And then if it works out, then I'll go to the trilat and close it up.
Oh, that'd be good. Mr. President, did y'all discuss any land swaps yesterday? Because we've talked a lot about the Donbass region. And what was the feeling in the room? What did the other leaders say about this?
Well, they understand. Look, everybody can play cute and this and that, but, Ukraine's going to get their life back. They're going to stop having people killed all over the place, and they're going to get a lot of land. But this was a war, and Russia is a powerful military nation, whether people like it or not. It's a powerful nation. It's a much bigger nation. It's not a war that should have been started. You don't do that. You don't take on a nation that's 10 times your size.
Why did they go in?
Military experts.
Why is a big fucking superpower nation going into a small nation?
Equipment in the world, and we gave them, whatever they took, probably a lot of money too. But they had tremendous, they had the Patriot missile, which is the best in the world. All the equipment, we make the best equipment in the world by far. Everyone else is like nothing. So we gave them a lot of equipment. Now, with that said, the Ukrainian soldiers were brave as hell because they're fighting a force that's much, much bigger and, in theory, much more powerful. And, it's not like they've stopped. I assume you've all seen the map. A big chunk of territory is taken, and that territory has been taken. Now,
is that video live?
Donbass,
what
Donbass,
video?
Right now, as
this
you know,
video?
is 79%
no, this was
owned and controlled by Russia. So they understand what that means.
But, Mr. President, what did the other leaders tell you? Because it seemed to be, this is unlike the first Trump term. There was great unity that was there, and we saw their public comments. But when you got them in the Oval Office, we have this photo of you sitting at the Resolute desk, and all of these world leaders are sitting in front of you. What did they say to you privately? Because it looks like they're on the same page as you, sir.
Yeah. They are. They're very good people. They're very good leaders of their countries. And they want to get back to leading their country. They're consumed far more with this than we are because they're right there. We have an ocean that's separating us, right? Thing called an ocean, a big, beautiful ocean. And they don't. They're right there. So they have to, it's a different kind of a thing for them. When it comes to security, they're willing to put people on the ground. We're willing to help them with things, especially probably if you could talk about by air, because nobody has the kind of stuff we have. Really, they don't have. But I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think if a deal is made, famous last words, right? But I think if a deal is made, I think Russia's had it. They've all had it. And for a very extended period of time, I don't think there'll be a problem. But there'll be some form of security. It can't be NATO because that's just not something that would ever happen. They couldn't do that. So who would want that? I mean, if you were Russia, who would want to have your enemy, your opponent, sitting on your line? You don't do that. So it was always thought that,
basically
Ukraine.
Right, these guys. Right. since
of a
Putin
buffer
views
between
NATO
Russia
and
the rest of
Ukraine
Europe.
as an
And it was
aggressor,
a big
why
wide
would
buffer.
they
Everything
want?
worked
Why
out
would
well
he
until
want some
Biden
form
got
of
involved.
security
When
guarantees
Biden
from
gave
people
them
that
$100
hate
billion
him already?
right
Yeah,
up front, I
it
don't
doesn't
give
make
him
sense.
anything. I don't know if you know it, but since I've been there, we don't pay. First of all, I made a deal to take rare earth. That's the equivalent of much more than the $350 billion that Biden got away, because I felt so foolish.
Unfortunately, yeah, you
It
would
was
have
so
to have a
stupid
third
what he
party
did.
to
And I was
facilitate
able to make
some
a
form
deal
of
with Ukraine, and they were very nice.
right
They have
peace
great rare earth
between
among the best in the
people.
world, and we took
Man, you
much
stick
more
these
than
two
the
people in a
350
fucking room,
billion,
they
and
might kill each
they
other.
were great about it. So we got that, handled. But now we don't pay any money to Ukraine. They buy through NATO, because I got NATO to go from 2% to 5%. 2% when they didn't pay, 2% of GDP, 2% when they didn't pay, and 5% now they do pay. So it's trillions of dollars. So what we do is we make the equipment, the military equipment, and sell it at a full price. We sell it to the NATO. We sell it to NATO, and NATO pays us immediately. And that's the way it's working. And then NATO takes it and does what they want with it, because they really have the right to do what they want with it. But for the most part, they give it to Ukraine.
So President Trump,
so we're not losing. We're not like we were with Biden, where we're paying hundreds of billions of dollars out. We're paying nothing.
President Trump, during the meeting yesterday, when you decided to call Vladimir Putin, what was the reaction among the other people in the room, and what was President Putin's reaction to being brought into a phone call in the middle of your meeting?
Well, I think they expected it. I didn't do it in front of them. I thought that would be disrespectful to President Putin. I wouldn't do that, because they have not had the warmest relations. And actually, President Putin wouldn't talk to people from Europe. I mean, that was part of the problem. He
never wanted to talk to people from the
office
NATO.
to take the call?
That's the real issue. He never really wanted to talk people from NATO because he viewed NATO as the aggressor.
With Biden and
Why would he
his
talk
people.
to someone
No
who's already trying to
communication.
fuck with
Putin told
him?
me. Years. It was years that he didn't speak to anybody from the White House, and it was a long time that he didn't speak to anybody from Europe. No, it's a fractured relationship. And when I came in, I always had, despite the Russia hoax, which truly was a very dangerous thing for our country, but despite that, I maintained a very good relationship. I mean, you saw that when he got off his plane, I got off my plane. There's a warmth there that you can't, there's a decent feeling. And it's a good thing, not a bad thing. People would say, oh, that's such a terrible thing. It's not a terrible
Yeah,
thing.
would you
We've got the most nuclear weapons in
when
the
Ukraine
world, and the
calls
most powerful.
Putin, is he gonna
So can
pick
you
up
describe
that call?
for us
Probably
how that
not.
happened? Did you just announce that you were going to go into the other room to make the phone call, and then you got
Right,
up and
Putin
left,
views
and
these
then
guys
came
as a
back?
fucking
Sort of
headache.
knew
Why
I
would he
was-
talk
At
to
the end
them?
of the meeting, I was going to call President Putin, and President Putin expected it, and he was there. Now, by the time I called him, it was 1 o'clock in the morning in Russia. Russia's a big place. They have 11 time zones, I believe, 9 or 11, but I think it's 11.
But,
Think
Mr.
of it,
President,
11 time zones. That's a lot of time zones. So it was late. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning, but he picked it up very happily. He's sure he works very hard, like we all do. And we had a very good call. And I told him that we're going to set up a meeting with President Zelensky, and you and he will meet. And then after that meeting, if everything works out, okay, I'll meet and we'll wrap it up. But, it takes, in this case, two to tango. They have to have somewhat of a relationship. Otherwise, we're just wasting a lot of time. I don't want to be doing that I just want to end it. I want to end it. We're not losing American lives. We're not losing American soldiers. We're losing Russian and Ukrainian, mostly soldiers, some people as
Yeah,
missiles
for us, it's
cross
just
by
costing
or
us
get
American
lost into
taxpayer
cities
money.
like Kiev and towns. But, if I can save 7,000 people a week from being killed, I think that's I want to try and get to heaven. if
Money
possible.
and
I'm hearing
weapons.
I'm not doing well. I hear I'm
Well,
really
then
at
again,
the
they're
bottom of
buying the
totem
weapons, so
pole.
it's like
So if I can get to heaven,
they're still
this would be
asking
one of
us
the
for help,
reasons. Well, I
right?
think
Regardless.
I saved a lot of lives with India, Pakistan. They were going at it. The planes were being shot down. That was going to be maybe a nuclear war if I let that go. And I did that through trade. I was negotiating with both of them. I said, I'm not going to make a trade deal with you guys. You're fighting until you get peace. And I got them on the phone. I made a peace deal. And many deals, 6, actually 7. And then we took out the nuclear capability from Iran. That was a big one in those pilots and those planes. When people say, we had the B-2 fly right over President Putin as he left his plane. He looked up. He said, "What the hell is that? That's a hell of a noise." We didn't make it environmentally friendly, okay? If that's
So
with you guys.
did the First Lady let you read the letter
Well,
that
I mean, I'm
Mrs.
pretty sure all
Zelensky
those
wrote to
fighter
her?
jets are fucking environmental
purposely
friendly, to
didn't.
be honest.
I
Especially
did
when they
not do
start
it
dropping
purposely. It
fucking
was given to me
payloads.
sealed, and I'm sure it would have been fine, but she gave a letter to Melania, and Melania told me it was absolutely a beautiful letter, so I'm going to see it. She's sending me a copy, but I gave it to her yesterday, sealed. It's nice when you give something sealed. I don't like when things are open. I don't like it. So anyway,
Mr.
but
President?
it was a beautiful letter, I'm sure.
Mr. President, there was a lot of talk yesterday when we were watching this about what happens after your presidency. How can we ensure that this conflict, that Putin doesn't inch in closer or more into the Ukraine territory? Is there anything that we can do? Can our congressmen and women pass any laws
Oh, Jesus.
that would?
You're
that
asking
would
the
involve
congresswomen and
Article
oof.
5. How would that be
Congress
handled?
kind of
All
sucks
you can do
penis,
is
to
make
be
sure
honest.
you get a good president, not one of these wackos like in California that runs the worst state anybody's seen, or that.
Called
guy
out
in, Illinois,
California.
His family threw him out of the business because he was no good. Now he's running Illinois and he wants to run for president. He's got zero chance. Maybe Newsom has a little bit of a chance. I don't know, but it's hard to believe because his record's bad. But all you can do is hope you don't get that as president. We have a great talent. Great talent. And
Fucking
JD
called
and
out.
Marco and
Yeah,
Scott.
I bet
Bessett's
bet
been
when
great, and
Newscum
Howard
hears that
has
shit,
been-
that probably
they're all-
pisses him.
you have, such superstars. Remember
He
this.
called out like
take
that.
a look at the border. The border was a disaster. Millions of people were pouring through. Open border. Within 2 months, it was perfect, and within now. Every week, every month, they say zero people are coming in illegally. We were taking people from prisons all over the world, gang members, insane asylum, mental patients from the worst insane asylums in the world that dropped in to our place. So now we have a very secure border, beautiful border. I built hundreds of miles of wall. Without that, we couldn't have a secure
But
border.
Mr. President, it's clear that you have operational control of the border. I mean, when the numbers hit zero, that is clear for the whole world to see. I'm curious.
3 months in a row.
Right, without new laws even having to be passed. But Mr.
But
President,
now I'm doing something that I'm having such fun with because I'm helping people. I've made Washington D.C. Just an incredible place. In literally 4 days, I have friends that say they're going out to dinner. Did you see what's happening with the restaurants? They're bursting. They were all closing and going bankrupt. I mean, it would be. It would be great. There's a guy named Sean Hannity. He might take a very lovely young lady that he knows very well to dinner in Washington, and they don't have to. They don't have to. And she's sitting right next to you, by the way.
That's right.
But
Mr. President,
I don't want to get him in trouble, so I better explain exactly. We don't want any secrets here. But
That's exactly right.
that's
Jesus
the
Christ,
greatest
what the fuck,
relationship. I hope I'm not breaking any news. This could be the biggest. Hey, this could be the most important thing I said. But let me tell you, those are two great, Ainsley and Sean, great people. And when they go out to dinner, I don't want to see them get mugged. Now they can go out. They can hold hands. They can walk down the street.
What the fuck is happening? Trump, what are you doing, man? What are you
Mr.
doing?
President, we're so happy for them. But
Why are
on a
you
serious note,
why are
Mr.
you
President,
snooping?
when you had those world
What
leaders,
the
because
fuck?
this is, the
Is
topic
he
of
snooping?
conversation for the whole world. When you had them sitting in front of you, did they express concerns about the next president, that they're not going to get the same type of treatment, security guarantees? Part of the deterrent of future attacks is your peace through strength. So that they say to you, Mr. President, we're concerned about the next leader?
They did. We talked about it. You know, it is what it is. I could say the same thing about them. I say, supposing you get a terrible leader in UK or France, or, you know, we had Ursula there who runs the whole gamut. You know, we just made the biggest trade deal in the world. She's in charge of the Commission, the European Commission, and she's the boss. She was there too. I mean, that was really an incredible array of people. But you know, they say that actually maybe even more with regard to the economy. We have $17 trillion being invested in the United States and committed, and numbers that nobody's ever seen for AI plants and for this and for that. And we're taking in trillions and trillions of dollars. That's why we're doing so well. Plants are being built all over the country. Our country has gone from a dead country 1 year ago. We're the hottest country in the world. And every one of those people said it yesterday. They said in 6 months you made this the hottest country in the world that we are. We have $17 trillion.
Well, I mean, it was
dead.
literally the United States was on shutdown for 4 years straight. Well, I guess 5 years.
Hundreds of billions of dollars on building these plants, and now you
And
have
now
an anti-business
Trump is
person coming.
finally bringing
I said,
back,
well, life
right?
is
It
full of
bringing it back
nasty
to
little
the
surprises, but I
modicum
don't
of
think it's
fucking
gonna happen.
operational
We have a great
value.
bench, and the bench is really talented. You see a lot of the people, and I think you're going to get great people in government.
Well, President Trump, we want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. We know that you have lots of other wars around the world that you need to end, and that's more important than anything. So we appreciate you joining us this morning.
No, thank you very
Thank
much,
you, Mr.
Charlie,
President.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and Ainsley, thank you. I hope I didn't get you in trouble with John, but
Jesus, dude.
well, I'll
Thank
say
you.
it. You know,
Fucking
like,
Trump
he's
is
that
so
great
nosy
guy.
with this
Have a
shit.
good time, everybody.
Congratulations for yesterday.
Trump,
Thank
why are
so
you
much.
trying to why are you trying to get in
45,
people's
47
fucking
president of the United
business
States.
on their relationship and shit? What are you doing, man? Oh my goodness. All right, there you have it. That was Fox and Friends. I will leave the description, all the links and stuff in the description and whatnot. Yeah. Thanks for watching.